What exactly is strategy?
Yeah.
Do you think that maybe people are overusing the word, or maybe they don't understand exactly what a strategy is? So what would it look like for them to finally understand what that is?
Yeah, I think people I don't think people overuse the word. I think people overuse the term as an excuse to not taking action. I do think that every business needs strategy. I mean, I always reference the word of God because that's truly where most of the strategies and the keys that I share, come from. If you're somebody who reads the Bible, you will know that even when you read from Genesis all the way into Isaiah, the Lord had already planned the coming of Jesus. Like it wasn't, oh my God, you guys
So what
made
do
a
we do
mistake.
today?
Now we need a contingency plan. That it wasn't like that. And I think if you somebody who is of a Christian faith, you know that He's a God of order and things must be done a certain way. And things can only fall into order if there is a plan.
Business Done Right with myself, Coach Kifilwe. If you are new here, this is a podcast that's really about getting African entrepreneurs and business leaders to really execute and level up on building sustainable and profitable businesses. So if you're someone that's saying, you know what, I'm tired of guessing what to do for my business, I really want to grow, Kifilwe, right? And you're looking for big ideas, this is the podcast that will get you to step up and execute on those ideas. Today, I'm not alone. As you know, I always do my best to bring you amazing guests who are doing really, really well in the world of business and entrepreneurship. I am with Michelle Lima, or as you know her, Michelle Expert, right? She is an entrepreneur, a global business strategist, content creator, and founder of Resonate Hub. Michelle is going to break down how we can really level up and actually call it as it is, make money for your business. Do the right things for your business that can get you seen, because at the end of the day, we can build impactful businesses, but they still need to make us revenue, profits, and actually afford us a life that we love as entrepreneurs, right? Yeah. Michelle, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
I don't normally like to introduce my guests because maybe I'll do a horrible job at doing that. So I'll always ask, tell us who you are, right? And what is it that you do? And if somebody just maybe ran into this podcast episode randomly and they say, why should I stick around and listen to Michelle?
So my name is Michelle Expert. I keep it Expert because I'm married now, so I changed my surname. So Michelle Expert is usually the safest name. And I'm the founder of Resonate Hub. Truly a child of God. I think that's like my biggest mandate is really serving in the kingdom of God. I'm a follower of Jesus Christ. And I run a company called Resonate Hub. And the essence of the business that I run is to equip salespeople, creatives, and entrepreneurs with sales skills. I've been in the sales industry for years before I started my own business, and I've worked with a lot of small business owners. And I think the key thing for me was just realizing that a lot of small business owners don't start businesses from an MBA and now I see the need. It's usually because unemployment is in the mix. And when they start their businesses, they're basically starting them from a point of hunger, of I need to make money. And that comes with its own challenges because you're now thinking, you're using the politics of the stomach to think about running the business more than it is strategy. And the core of my work really is I get to come in those spaces and say, okay, cool, I know you're trying to make money, but how do we build a strategy that helps you make money while you're growing to scale? And then equipping them with sales tools and resources and skills. And I think that's why somebody needs to stick through this conversation. I think every entrepreneur, either when you're starting from the politics of the stomach, or when you've started because you were passionate, but your passion needs to carry the politics of the stomach enough for you to be able to cover the costs. And when you met with the reality of maybe my strategy currently is not converting, or it's not converting in a sustainable way, or I'm dealing with burnout, or I want to grow a team, but I don't know how to be able to train a sales team, I think the conversation we're going to have is going to help somebody get to the next level.
I think I see myself in that because 10 years ago when I started my business, I had no idea that what I'm doing is actually called a business. Somehow I was good at what I was doing. People around me saw, like, can you actually help us with that? We'd be willing to pay you, and I think when you're somebody who hopped into this entrepreneurship space,
Yeah.
it becomes difficult then to know, how do I then build this so that it can
grow,
sustain
yeah,
me?
absolutely. And I think when you stumble into something that you're good at, the cycle is just like, oh, it's amazing, and they're willing to pay me. So that it's validating, and essentially that's how you're making it through. You are basically feeding off that validation. But after a while, if the validation doesn't pay bills anymore, or the validation is not becoming sustainable, or the validation is exhausting you, then we need to employ a different strategy to take the business to the next level. So I think a lot of entrepreneurs find themselves in different situations, whether it's from startup or it's from like middle ground, or if it's from scaling, where you need to readjust your strategy for sustainability. And usually selling is the beginning of it. Like, I'd rather you have a money and a cash flow problem, in the sense that you've got a lot of money coming in, a lot of cash flow coming in, and now you're looking for a consultant to help you move that money in a sustainable way, versus like, there's no money coming in and there's no cash flow coming in for you to do more in your business to scale up. So yeah, that can be a very difficult position.
And I'm going to get into that one, but you've been putting out the word strategy. And I work also as a business coach with a lot of entrepreneurs. And every time when they need to execute on something, the first thing they'll say is, I'm still strategizing. I'm still putting together a strategy. I'm like, every single day you are strategizing. You're putting together a strategy. What exactly is strategy? Do you think that maybe people are overusing the word, or maybe they don't understand exactly what a strategy is? So what would it look like for them to finally understand what that is?
Yeah, I think people I don't think people overuse the word. I think people overuse the term as an excuse to not taking action. I do think that every business needs strategy. I mean, I always reference the word of God, because that's truly where most of the strategies and the keys that I share, come from. If you're somebody who reads the Bible, you will know that even when you read from Genesis all the way into Isaiah, the Lord had already planned the coming of Jesus. Like, it wasn't, oh my God, you guys
so what
made
do we
a mistake,
do today?
now we need a contingency plan, that it wasn't like that, and I think if you, somebody who is of a Christian faith, you know that he's a God of order, and things must be done a certain way, and things can only fall into order if there is a plan. There were different prophecies given around the coming of Christ because there was a plan. A lot of people now are talking about the end of the world. There's signs, there's a plan to how the world is going to end that we might not know it in full, but I think that the Creator himself put together a plan, right? And if we are made in his image, we are to put something to plan together so that it comes. I'll take you to, this is going to be a preaching session. I have no idea the kind of audience you have. But it's like, welcome to church, But it's truly just the work that I share. So in Luke 14, verse 23, right, it says in the Bible, and please do correct the actual scripture if I got that name wrong. It says that who of you plans to build and does not calculate a cost? Lest they look and say, they started a foundation, but they didn't even build anything. That on its own is the key of why strategy is important. It's you have to calculate the cost. And calculating the cost is we're saying, is this financially viable for you to make this move? Is this mentally viable? Are you mentally ready? Do you have the right team? Do you have the right resources? And now starting to put all of those things together. So I think that if we were to explain what strategy is essentially the plan on how you're going to get to the end vision. Sure. Now, the problem when people say that they're strategizing is because they don't have the end vision in mind. So therefore, everything looks like I'm still planning, but to what end? So the planning never has a destination because there's no direction to the plan, right? If you're planning to go to Cape Town, the fact that you're going to Cape Town means that we need to book flights. We need to pack.
How long it's going to take us.
Right? Yeah. But because the destination in mind is what we have. But now if you're just planning for a trip, and you don't know where you're going, and you don't know how, so because you don't know where you're going, you're not sure how you're going to get there. You're not sure how many people you can take to get there. You're not sure what it is you need to get there. Is it flights or is it by boat? Or are you going to drive? So, and I think that's where a lot of people are in limbo. It's because we haven't fully defined what the destination is. So I do think that before we talk strategy, let's talk, where do you want to go? Okay. What's the plan first? And then strategy is almost us working backwards to say, okay.
These are what,
If we are saying world domination is the end result, this is what we're going to do. And if you follow the map of the word, where it talks about how God is omnipresent and how, God's not surprised by anything. It means also, I think our strategy must contain a level of, okay, this is where we're trying to go, but should this thing go wrong, this is how we're going to fix it. Should this thing not work properly, this is what we might try. And that's how we formulate a strategy. But I think before we get into strategy, what is the vision?
That you're trying to get
what's
to?
the end goal?
So if I'm somebody who has already started this business, and I don't have a strategy in place.
Yeah.
I don't even know where I need to start.
Yeah.
Do I then come to someone like you and then say, I need a strategy? Because I think what I've realized in the entrepreneurship space is that people start businesses, but they don't understand what the elements that make up a business is. That, okay, I need to have a strategy, I need to have a business plan. We sort of just figure it out as and when we go. So for someone who has not started and say, okay, Michelle, I hear what you're saying, but I don't have that.
So I think it's multi-layered, right? I think the first thing is like, if you've already started and you've got a business that's going on, like kudos, you know what I'm saying? That is amazing. I wouldn't like advise anybody to say, okay, like wait for the big picture until you start. Like if you've started, great. And I always say to people, start, because I think starting is the seed that eventually reveals the vision. Okay. Sometimes you might not get the vision before you start. Do you know what I'm saying? Sometimes you have to start, and only as it unravels do you then see, this is what it looks like. And I think that's why also the Bible says that faith without works is dead, right? We are trusting. So sometimes you just get the seed that maybe let me start selling this. And as you sell it, you realize, it's actually an industry. It's actually this. It's like to your example earlier, where if you stumble on something, right? So I think that there's so much wisdom and there's so much grace in you being able to fall into it. But I do think that God then brings us to a point where whatever we were doing just never feels like it's enough anymore. Okay. So I think that's where then the transition happened. And that's where maybe the entrepreneurs that we interface with are, where they've been running it, but they just know there's more, and they just don't know what that more looks like. And I think that's why I was like, start with what you have, go. But you will get to a point where that nudge starts kicking in. And when the nudge starts kicking in, it's like, it almost feels like you've had a business and you've been pregnant this whole time, and now it's time to give birth. Okay. And people like myself and you become the midwives. So now we have to help you give birth to the actual thing, right? So that's how I would define it. There's wisdom in every phase. And sometimes that pregnancy could look like you're making really good sales at the time, but internally you just feel like, I could be doing more. Yeah. I just feel led to different things and I'm not too sure what to do. And then you progress into now seeking the strategy. Like, okay, I really love what I do, but I'm struggling to see what it looks like in 5 years. I'm struggling to see what the end result is going to look like, or what this thing is going to give birth to. Then we can come in and say, okay, let's look at industry trends. And that's when wisdom and knowledge is applied to kind of help you. And I always say to people, I will help you take back what you are already doing to start seeking the bigger picture. People like me and you don't give people bigger pictures. Yes. We help you package it, think about it differently for you to receive the vision. And then when you've received the vision, you can then come back and say, now I know where I want to go and I need help in terms of going there. Then we rock. But I think that's why I talk about God a lot, because business is so spiritual and a lot of people don't realize that. It's so spiritual. And I think for the entrepreneur, people see us do so many podcasts and all these amazing things, and they're like, yo, you're just always on fire.
Like no.
If you knew. Yes. No, but we still carry on, because I think that there's a spiritual element that even people of the world or people of different religions really rely on. And I think we need to find an anchor that helps us rely on that and bounce back to like our spiritual sounding board, which is the Holy Spirit, to be able to cultivate the vision. But I do think that if you're the visionary of the business, whatever it is that you're called to do, or the vision of this business is always tied to the vision that God gave you when you were born. Like when you were young, what are those things? Like, what did you do so well that people congratulated you for?
I can agree to that. Yeah.
Right? You will always find those little, he says the breadcrumbs always, like they always come together. So you always have to look, but I think as you grow, the dispensation of that starts evolving. And I think you then need people like me and you to help you catch up to what that looks like. Yes. So maybe if you were not reading at all because you were so smart, maybe now it's time to read more books. Yes. If you were like a lone ranger, maybe now it's time to network and just, or when you just had the same friends and within within your group of friends, you were like the top dog.
Maybe you need to level up and get. And I like what you're saying, because what I'm hearing from you is the point where somebody would have started something, right? And at a point where they feel like, this is not enough, I need to be doing more. You can feel that burn inside of you. But then they then don't reach out to the relevant people that can actually help them move past that stage.
Yeah.
Would you say then that is the reason why entrepreneurs would then feel stuck for too long? Because they're trying to then build and develop this vision all by themselves. And I see it because it happens where somebody wouldn't want to come and pay you, somebody who's like a business strategist, whatever amount that they need to pay you to then move them to the next level. Then they get stuck in their own little corner.
Yeah, look, I think it's a bit of both. I think the first part is like, as an entrepreneur, and as much as we have down days, we do feel like very powerful human beings because we're able to build stuff, right? So sometimes even when a challenge presents itself and you feel like, oh, I'm struggling with this, the first innate answer is like, I can sort this out. I've built this. It's been 5 years in the game.
Yes. In actual fact,
So you always resort to, I can do it. I'll sort it out. So you try, and which I think there's also a bit of wisdom in that, in learning, right? Where you have to exhaust all options for a lot of people. And you try, because in most cases also you're a bit cash strapped. So you think, oh my God, okay, do I need to pay Michelle? Maybe not. Maybe let me try sort it out myself. And although that is great, time is moving. So then you might be stuck a little bit too longer, but maybe there's also wisdom in you being able to figure it out yourself and struggling until you've exhausted all your options and you can come to people like myself. There's that. And then there are people who just know how to apply the wisdom of being able to outsource for help. You know, I'll reference again in the Bible when I think there was a part where Moses' father-in-law said, instruct people and judges to help you lead, so that you're not the only. Now you've got this entire nation that you're taking out of Egypt, but now you are the only person responsible to lead these people out of this. But instruct people and let people help you. And I think there's so much wisdom in that. And I read, that's why I'm saying business is spiritual, because then when you get spiritual insight about a problem, spiritual insight says, I'll equip you to deal with this yourself, and you do, and you actually come out of it. Spiritual insight says, no, maybe go get a coach, go get a strategist, go get this. I always say to people in the line of work that I do that and because I think I'm such a prayerful person and my business is really centered around God, God leads clients to me. And I really fully believe that when the time comes for somebody to get in touch with me to get assistance, they would have been led to do that. So I try not to make anyone's decision or anyone's life like an infinite, like you made that mistake, you're stuck for too long. I think there's wisdom in any part of your journey. And sometimes it's fitting that you're stuck for that long, because that frustration is going to push you to come to me and be so willing to do the work. Because I've seen people who have heard of a strategist or a coach before, and they come, and you probably have seen this before, and they're not willing to do the work. They just, you know, the pain isn't too great for them to move. So you will give them the strategies, you will give them your attention, and they just won't move because they're just not willing. But somebody who's been through the pain of doing it themselves will be able to say, if you give them just one little thing, they'll go and do it right away, and they'll get results because of the hunger. So I do think that God does take people through a journey of cultivating that hunger within them. To say when they come to you, they also multiply within their results, which is also good for us as business people, because I do want somebody to have great results, but I would love them to be ready to achieve those results.
So majority of our audiences are entrepreneurs, small business founders. You know, there's so many. Some call themselves, I'm a small business owner, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm just a business owner, I'm a founder, I'm a CEO. Some still have one foot in, one foot out. I'm not sure if this is what I want to build, or some are calling themselves hustlers, right? What is the one thing, regardless of the title that they give themselves, about entrepreneurship and business building that you would want them to know?
Learn how to sell.
Okay.
Learn how to sell. I think it doesn't matter what you call yourself. If you don't have the skill or the ability to sell, and by sell, I mean your product, yourself to people, yourself on platforms. We are in the age of podcasting where you can send somebody an email and say, can I please be on your podcast? This is what I do. But and we receive so many emails on a daily basis for people who want to do that. But when we do some research, we want to, are you able to articulate yourself well? Are you able to sell? Are you able to convince people around this mission that you have? So I think learning how to sell for me is the biggest and the top priority, because we can say go network, but if you step in rooms and you don't know how to talk about your vision and your business, you're just going to sit in a corner because you might feel inferior for that room. So I'd learn how to sell.
So what is selling?
Selling. So maybe the simplest way I would define selling is convincing the other person to transact with you because of the value that you offer, right? That's how you sell. For money to come into your account because of a sale, it means that you must have convinced the other person that what I am selling is worth this much and more. That's what a sale is. So even in relationships or in networks, you are convincing the other person that, listen, my platform is actually worth you being there. What I do is actually worth you partnering. That is what selling is you basically are convincing somebody to make a decision that is also in your favor, but in their favor because you've articulated the value very well.
I like that when you say it's in their favor and in your favor as well. A lot of the times I would hear entrepreneurs say, why do I have to? Because okay, let me start here. We are so in love with our businesses, our products, our services, and we just think if I just put it up there, people must just automatically flock and buy and say yes. And I would always say that's not the case. And then entrepreneurs say, no, but why do I have to convince somebody? If you don't want to buy, then don't buy. It's fine.
Yeah.
Right. What would you have to say about that? Somebody who's saying, do you want my product? Take it or leave it.
Yeah. I think people need to have the awakening that you're not the only person that's good at what you do. Like, you're not. And I know we are born and raised and encouraged to feel so special and say there's no one like me. But the truth of the matter is there's somebody out there who's doing the same thing that you're doing and 10 times better. That's the honest truth. And I think when you realize that, you will realize that you are constantly evolving your product, your business, your offer, your personality, your growth, and in every area. And then you have to, here's an example I gave on a TikTok video the other day. And I said, if to this day and age, we are still preaching the gospel, telling you about Jesus Christ that died for you, what makes you think you shouldn't be talking about your business? What makes you think that just because you are good enough, you should just be sitting there? Especially for people who are like, for instance, believers, I'll continue to say, we're going to church every Sunday. We're talking. We want people to be saved. Jesus could have just said, listen, I'm such a cool guy.
Like, I'm not coming.
And I died for you. If you don't see my worth, then peace out.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? But the Bible says he continues to pursue us. And I think bring it into business. I think you need to realize that what you have, there are people who are called to benefit from it. Ooh. And when you sit, you do them a disservice, because what you're saying is like, sit and find me. Like, just search for me because I'm so special. It's almost like very egotistic. Sure. And it usually comes from an inferiority complex where you feel that because you have not mastered how to talk about your business in a more valuable way, you think sitting back makes you very valuable, and it doesn't. I think that you need to have the ability to articulate yourself and what you do in a way that not only convinces people but connects with the right people. Your customers are literally sitting around and they are waiting to hear from you. You know, imagine if like the show that you like, if the writer just said, I'm such a great writer. Like, people don't need to see this. Yeah. Whoever wants it is going to come to me and they're going to read my scripts. I don't need to get actors to act this thing because it's so beautiful. Yeah, I think it's very egotistical to think in those lines. And I think that, and it's egotistical and it comes from insecurity. And I think that people, they need to move from a point of insecurity to say, I want to learn how to talk about my product. I want to learn how to talk about my value in a way that is clear, in a way that is concise. And when I learn to do that, I attract the right customer and more people find out about me.
Because that was going to be my next question in actual fact, that isn't it like selling is more psychological? You know, how do I then know what the value of my product or service is? And how do I get to a point where I'm comfortable telling people about it? I can tell you that from my own personal experience in business. Yeah. Maybe it's not that I have a fear of selling, but what is that psychological shift that I need to have to be able to boldly and comfortably stand up and say, this is what I do, this is the value that I can give to you, without feeling maybe, you know.
Yeah, okay. And that's a valid question, right? Because every time we talk about selling, the whole misconception is like it's so pushy, it's so it just makes you feel
Like you're desperate, like.
Absolutely. I'm gonna give you a little exercise that was done in a study, and it really just mirrors around the psychology of selling. So if I were to say to you right now, Kifi, please draw an E on your forehead. Which direction would your E be facing?
That way.
Yeah. So okay. Do you want to draw it for me now so I can?
Okay.
I can
In
see
my.
it? Yeah. So like if I say just draw an E on your forehead.
I would. This is an E, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
I think
Cool.
that's how.
So your E is facing that way.
Yes.
Yeah. So the psychology behind the little exercise is that entrepreneurs, when you're asked to draw an E, you should never draw the E in a way that you can read it, but in a way that the other person should read it. So if I say, if you draw an E, if your E is facing like that way, it means you are reading that E. But if your E is facing that way, it means you've drawn it for who? For Michelle to read that it's an E. And that's where the problem is with a lot of business people.
Sure.
We are constantly communicating in the E that we see and not the E that the customer and the market is supposed to see. And that's where the challenge becomes. So how you step out of that is that I always say to people, if you've got your business and you've got your value, you know it's amazing. You even know too much, right? You even know a lot more than you're supposed to. And you've got the qualifications. Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Right? But I want you to start drawing the E. And the E, we will call it, let's say, your USP, right? Or your X factor. I want you to start communicating your E, not in a way that you can read it, but in a way that the other person can read it. So instead of your E facing the right, I need it to start facing the left. This means that if you are selling drills, right, you're not going to go in the market and talk about how your drills have the best grip and they're great colors and they do the best screws and whatever, because no one cares. But what you're going to do is you're going to focus on holes in people's walls, because that is what people are buying. Do you get the difference? The E that faces that way is focused on the product. It's focused on the value. It's focused on all of these things. But the E where people look at is focused on what is the person looking for. When I'm going to a store as Michelle, I'm not looking for a drill. I'm looking to put holes in the wall so I can put a picture up. That's what I'm looking for. So if you are selling drills, your mission should then speak to the holes I want to drill, not your drill. Because quite frankly, unless I'm a builder and I need to buy 10 of them, I might not even care what the drill does or where it comes from and how hectic the grip is. What I will care about is, will I be able to drill through my wall so I can put my picture up in a way that's not messy?
That makes so much sense, because normally when I go to the stores and they're trying to sell me all different options, I'm like, it doesn't matter, just give me this one that can do this.
Exactly.
It's blue, and I'm realizing that's my attitude actually when I go to this shop, and I'm like, and the salesman's like, no, this, that, and then I'm like, will it?
Yes, you don't care. and that's truly how our customers are. That's truly how everyone's customer is. They're not too worried about, oh, this mic, it's got the biggest, can you do a podcast or not?
Yes. Will the sound be clear?
That's it. They don't care whether there's, will it do what I want it to do? So I think the important thing is you have to then ask yourself, and I talk about this a lot when we do masterclasses in our hub, is you have to build archetypes, right? This is how you're going. Now I'm giving you the strategy part of it. You have to build archetypes, and an archetypes is essentially a persona of the person you're selling to. I always say build 3 archetypes as a starter point. 3 archetypes is I will build Sally, Susie, and Mike as an example. These 3 archetypes are your ideal customer. And I say ideal for a reason. This is the customer that has the money that you want, that is not going to try to undercut you, all of those things. But we have to position these 3 in different ways. So I would say, for starters, let's say, I think Sally, I mentioned Sally, I forget the names. Let's say Sally, for instance, is a receptionist who's got a baking side hustle, and she's been making 5,000 Rand a month, but she wants to make more. She's got a stable job. She's got amazing benefits. She might not be looking to quit her job, but she just wants to be more fulfilled. Her mom recently retired and now they're staying with the mom and she wants the mom to bake at home, right? So she would need coaching services. And then the second one, we said Sally, we said Susie. Susie's just quit her job. She had a great job. She hasn't been fulfilled. She hated her boss. Now she wants to build this business. She's been consulting for a couple of clients and now she wants to scale. And then we have Mike. Mike is a dad of 4. He's been running this business for years and now AI's come in and he's trying to figure out what's the next strategy. So do you see how these 3 people can still want your services but be in different positions in their lives? So when we build those archetypes, what we're then trying to find out is what is at the core of these archetypes' hierarchy of needs. Right? Mike's hierarchy of needs is I need to survive. I need to sustain this thing. It's been running for long. So he's more hungry. It's more different. He might go for your high paying offers. He might want to say, please, I need to sign you up for 3 months because he's willing to go hard. Whereas Susie might just be like, I'm okay. It's not urgent for her. She's willing to take the first product. She's willing to do coaching here and then suss it out because she's not desperate. She's doing okay. She just wants to help her mom a bit, but she feels like she needs to do it a bit better. And then the middle one, I forgot the name. Sally and Susie.
Sally and Susie.
The middle one, who's just quit her job. She could be a bit hungry, but not too much. She's still a bit skeptical. Everything is currently emotional. She wants to really build this business, but am I really willing to spend 20,000 with you, Michelle?
My
I'm
last
not
pension
sure.
fund.
Yeah, maybe let's start here. So you basically have the startup which will buy your first entry product, and you've got the middle one which will do the 1 coaching session or 2 coaching and then be part of your entrepreneur hub, and then you've got the last one who's willing to do all of these 2 and go all in with you, right? Now, when you have these 3 archetypes, when you are putting out content to market your business, it should only be directed to these 3 people because these are your 3 customers. You shouldn't go out there and say, are you a high school student who's looking to start a business? That's not your archetype. That's not the client you're trying to serve because your price point does not communicate to a student. A student might not be able to afford you, so that is not your target audience. So I'm giving you the strategy to say this is how somebody who's watching can start looking and drawing the strategy backwards to say, here's my archetype. So my contact point and my marketing has to speak to these 3 people. My marketing has to say, are you running a side hustle that you're willing to scale up with somebody at home that's willing to help you? Here's what I offer. Are you somebody who's just quit your high-paying job to pursue this passion in this business and you are frustrated? Here's what I offer. Are you somebody who's been running your business for 5 years and it's just not growing, and in the world of AI and tech, you're looking at a way to scale it up? Here's what I offer. The granular you get, the more you can speak to the right person and the more you can get more people to buy from you because they are the right customer. So you don't have a high school student saying,
but
I
where
need
must
coaching.
I take 10,000 rand?
Yeah, you don't have that because your marketing is very clear on who you're talking to. That's how you. I even forgot what the question was, but I hope that strategy.
No,
helped.
it now that's very powerful because then my next question was going to be about niching. I see a lot of videos where we are told niche down. You can't serve everyone, and then I see on the other side where entrepreneurs want. They've got we start our businesses with passion. No, I want to help the underprivileged.
Yeah.
I want to help, which is not a problem. But then back to what you're saying, that a student might not afford the price point that you put. So it's like you're contradicting what you're trying to achieve by saying, no, but I really want to help these people and then put my price point at this. So then how do you then choose who you will serve, which is a niche, and maybe you can talk a little bit more about that. And it not conflicting with, can this niche that I really want to serve and savers afford me?
Yeah.
Or should I just put aside maybe the passion and the impact work?
You know what I think? I think we separate the conversation around helping and making money in business and niching, whereas it's the same thing.
Okay.
Right? I always say to people, if you've got a passion and you really want to help somebody, how much more are you going to help them if you made $1 million? A lot. You'd be able to go to the township that you know and give free courses.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And give free laptops and
Yes.
help.
Yes.
If you truly truly want to help. I think we say those things maybe obviously because of how we've been taught, but I think sometimes we mention those things to excuse ourselves from actually doing the work. I don't think it serves anybody when you're undercharging yourself. You're frustrating yourself and you're helping no one. That's the first thing. The second one is, in my experience, I found that people who are willing to invest in something are also willing to do the work. So you see the 3 archetypes I gave you, right? And if we look at Susie, who's the receptionist who's comfortable, how much she's willing to pay tells you how much she's committed. It's not necessarily how much she can afford. It just says she could afford maybe what Mike towards the end can do. But right now, it's just not a need for her. So you are now trying to convince Susie that she needs what Mike has because you can see she affords it, but she really doesn't. And that's where we are caught up a lot.
Sure.
It's not about, people can afford what they want. And that is the honest truth.
Yeah, yes.
If people want a full DSTV bouquet, they will pay for it.
Yeah.
Even if it's the last thing they do with their money because they want to watch their favorite shows. That is the honest truth, right? Now, can you jumpstart somebody who, for instance, might not be able to afford something for 250 into making $1 million? Might not, no matter how much help you want to give them. So I think you also have to be realistic with yourself around when you say help, what does this look like? People like your Bill Gates have the ability to help people in Africa.
You're still looking for help yourself because you need to make sense.
Do you understand? So I think it's a misguided approach when people say that. I always try to debunk and say, I don't think you're trying to help anybody. I think you're actually trying to help yourself. So you're trying to convince yourself and stick to the validation that I really want to help people grow their businesses. But you're not. What you're trying to do is you're trying to enable them to stay in the same cycle with you into staying the same.
Sure.
Whereas if you are growing and you say, and that's why I said be clear. Right? If part of your archetypes is the person who can afford 200 Rand, then they must be part of your archetype. But you must know that that should not be your only source of income.
Because there's only so much you can actually make.
Exact. And there's only so much that somebody who can afford that can do. Right? So how do we bridge the gap? And I think, look, there's value in that. How do we bridge the gap? Maybe for 200 Rand, they might be transport logistics. Maybe we do a handbook for them that we follow up every now and then that they can buy. Right? But then we're feeding off your high ticket client who's able to pay more to also enable you to so there's strategy. I think you can still do the same thing and be strategic around it. Now, talking about niching, because I wanted to lead it to that. When we talk about niching, I am of the firm belief that it's important to niche down. And I know people are just like, oh, you can do everything, you can do anything. And I think, look, there's boundaries around that. And maybe we are, what's the word? We are we're misunderstanding the term niche, right? Just because I'm a business strategist doesn't mean I can't show you what it feels like to be a mom. Do you understand? It doesn't mean that I can't show you that maybe I like a hip hop song here and there. It doesn't mean that I can't show you like, oh my God, I love my friends, or this is what I'm doing on a Sunday. What I mean when I say niche down, it just means that you will receive different facets of who I am. But for the majority of the time, business will be my core focus. So I always say to people, if you're still confused around niching, here's a framework that I give a lot of people, right, that you need to do to make it easier for yourself. You would do the 70-20-10 rule. So what you do is you ask yourself, what are the 3 things I'm most passionate about, right? Like, what really is it? So I'll give an example. You would say, I love fitness. Like, fitness is really the thing that I want to do. But over and above fitness, and what I always gather whenever I strategize with people that have this thing is you realize all the things that they're passionate about actually meet into becoming one thing all the time. So somebody will say, I love fitness so much. I love fitness. And then over and above fitness, I'm like, okay, cool. So what are the other things that you're confused about? That I just want to also talk about being a mom and sharing about it and nutrition and health. I'm like, oh, okay, great. What else? And they say faith. I want to talk about my faith. I'm like, but this is the same thing. And maybe what your niche is not fitness. Maybe your niche is holistic wellness as a woman. So if you then bundle it to say, I love holistic wellness, and within holistic wellness, my core focus is fitness, motherhood, and faith. You have a niche. It doesn't have to be one thing. I always give an example with the chicken place. Every time I say chicken, what comes to mind?
A chicken that runs.
Right? But if I say like a fried chicken, what's the first thing? Right? KFC. But KFC sells Coke. They sell burgers.
Okay.
They sell Pepsi.
Yeah.
Right? Or they sell Sprite. But they're not going out there to say, guys,
We
we
are selling
do
Sprite.
and Coke, and we sell buns too. If you want a loaf of, if you
It's
want
like
a bun,
they've got other things that complement their main, but they go
Exactly.
together.
They go
So it's not like KFC would sell me chicken and then sell me a car oil,
Yes.
and then sell me
Yes. Yeah.
a bed, whatever. Okay,
But
makes
when they
sense.
advertise, they say chicken. They say chicken. But you'll go there, you'll also get a Coke.
Yeah, 'cause-
You
yeah.
go there, you will also get a drink. You'll also get ice cream. Imagine if they said, no, we have got the best ice cream in the world. No, they've just said we've got the best chicken in the world. But when you get there, because you trust them for chicken, you can do ice cream, you can do Coke, you can do you can do a bun, you can do a wrap, you can do a healthy meal now, you can do all of these things. And I think that's the power of niching, is that when you niche down to something specific, you are trusted for even the things you're not niched in. Do you know what I'm saying? Like when I niche down and say, I'm a global business strategist and I specialize in sales, we get so many emails and calls, speaking engagements for the ITC sector. I didn't say that, but because people have trusted me and my business to do this very specific thing, they can see how I fit into a Coke. They can see how I can also offer them a bun. They can see how, maybe we can get ice cream here. We get emails of like stuff that we don't even advertise for, but we are good at and we would be able to do, but they are not part of our messaging. And what you need to realize whenever we talk about niching is we are saying get people to trust you for something. Do you know what I mean? Get people to trust you for something. That's what we are saying when we say niche down.
Okay.
We're not saying like limit, no, get people to trust you for something. So if you do the 70-20-10, this means that if you are then saying fitness, motherhood, and faith, maybe how you break it down to manage also perception. There's a thing that we do in some of our sales master classes that's called perception management, because people are watching us, and every time people watch us, they're perceiving us a certain way. So if you're trying to build a brand, you need to work with what we call perception management strategy, which is how you're going to be perceived in your market. So if you say, okay, Michelle, these are my 3 focuses, and because of these 3 focuses, I do realize that because of my 3 focuses, if I'm going to monetize this passion, maybe fitness might be the best way to monetize. So then we say the 70-20-10 means for 70% of the time on your post, you're posting about fitness. And then 20% of the time you're posting about motherhood. And then 10% of the time you will include the faith, right? We are now putting together a strategy. And we're not saying like the faith is lesser. We're just saying that we want you to get into a market and be known for a specific thing. So when you are at an event, they should be able to say, oh, that's the fitness person. But we love how she talks about motherhood. We also love the fact that she's also Bible-centered, or she talks about faith. But you are spending 12 or 18 or 24 months curating a specific perception management strategy that helps people perceive and see you in a way. So if you ever want to monetize, you must ask yourself, if people ever had to receive a brief from a client, where would they place me? Because if you're everywhere, even if they love you and you're going viral, the question still becomes, how do we pay her? What do we pay her for? If it's okay, we're doing KFC, how does she fit in? And when you don't niche, you then do yourself a disservice, because then when those conversations are had in the boardrooms, they don't know how they would be able to fit you. But if they know that, oh, she's in business and in sales, but we're doing marketing, she can definitely fall into that. But we're doing financial management, she can definitely also fall into that. But because you've been trusted by doing a specific thing long enough.
And I want to get into, because we've got different types of businesses where, let's say I've got a business. Kifilo Tsela Academy, which is the actual business. And then I've got me, Kifilo Lekabe, who's then what we call my personal brand. Do we then separate the two, or do we merge the two? And should it be everybody that needs to have a personal brand if they have like a business? We had the Resonate Sales and Entrepreneurship Summit in March, and we had a conversation with Nomdeni Mdaki around personal branding. The clips of it actually went like viral. It's like millions. And we've recently shared it on our membership hub as a masterclass, and it answers this question broadly, but I'll try and summarize it a bit. So one of the things that Nomdeni Mdaki speaks about is, if you look at all the Fortune 500 companies that are well known, we usually know all their founders, because their founders have
a good personal brand, right? If you look at, for instance, Bill Gates, he's a founder, but he's got an amazing personal brand. If you look at Elon Musk, an amazing personal
Look
brand.
at Oprah.
Exactly, an amazing personal brand. And these are businesses that are doing very well, either as founders or managing directors. So there is a lot of value in building a personal brand as a founder, because your values, for instance, we will trust Kifilwe before we trust the academy, right? Because at the moment we realize that, okay, we actually correlate with Kifilo's values, we'll then say, okay, cool, then let's work with her academy. And that's usually how things work. And especially now that we're moving in a digital and AI world, people buy from people that they trust. And the best way for us to trust any business is to find out who owns this, who's you know, what's happening here. So I do think that there's wisdom in building both in a parallel way. It also depends what the kind of business that you have. Do you eventually want to move forward to a point where you now want the business to run on its own without you being there? And I still think it's possible to do both. Like Bill Gates doesn't have to sit at like Microsoft every single day in the office to make it work, but we still know him, right? So I always say to people, build a personal brand. Build a personal brand and build a business. And if you can leverage off your personal brand growing and your business also managing from that. There has been talks around, like for instance, for people who are in the product-based business, that what happens when, for instance, if you're marketing the products and you get sick or you get pregnant or something happens to you, will the business stop making money? I think that's a systems conversation more than it is a personal brand conversation. I think something can have your name and still live and still do so well without you being heavily involved in it. If you look at Fenty, I mean, we recently found out that Rihanna doesn't own 100% of it, but it is literally, when you think of Fenty, you think of Rihanna, right? Yeah. Does that mean that she's got an office in there and she's there every single day? No, it's because there's a leverage of branding that is happening that allows us to trust and still be able to want to be part of this brand. So I think both.
So this sounds like, even there's people who say, no, I don't like my private life to be known. At the end of the day, you somehow need to have a personal brand, but then from what you're saying, then there's a strategic way to go about it.
Absolutely. It goes back to the perception management conversation I had, right? For instance, I have a personal brand, but you don't know where I stay. Nobody knows the intricacies of my personal life because we've got the 70-20-10 rule, right? We're very much aware. Social media is extremely curated. I'm very intentional about what I want to show you and the intention that I want it to have. For me personally, because of my niche, again, it's no use for me to show you like, oh my God, look at how beautiful my house is. Like, it's so gorgeous. I just bought a new couch because...
Unless you're in interior design.
Exactly, because my niche, or I'm doing lifestyle, because my audience benefits nothing from seeing the new couch that I bought. Unless there's an important lesson I'm sharing from there, then I can. But you have to then be defined by what are your goals, right, that you want to achieve. I think people have this misconception, like, and this is something that's fading a lot, where people thought, oh, like, Instagram. Gone are the days where people used to talk like that. In this day and age, you have the ability of curating a social platform where you are sharing a specific message that you care about. Okay, will I sneak in an Arsenal shirt here and there with my family and... Perfect, right? Because that's like, it's a Sunday. I love it. It's my 10%. It's part of who I am. And I'm trying to, and the intention with that is I connect with my audience, right? I want to drive another conversation beyond business and strategy. You know, we host these business breakfasts, and we'll always talk about, oh my God, which team do you support? And we have some gents who come to the business breakfast when it's like game day and they're wearing like a Manchester t-shirt. And that's part of like a community banter that we throw around. So that will be the little 10%. But it will be of no use for me to show you that I bought a new plant or I bought a new lamp, because, oh my God. But I do understand the value of it from people who make money from those things, from people who are lifestyle content curators, who they can show you how to put a piece together. So it has to be niche focused. But I think that people must move away from thinking that, oh, now I must show my kids, I must show everybody dropping off my children. That's a lie. You don't have to do that. You have to have a perception management strategy, and you have to build what you want people to see, because it is a personal brand. It's personal, right? So we are informed by you, what you want us to see.
Okay.
Yes, we are not banging.
So if you yourself don't know what you want people to see, then that's where it's not going to make sense.
So I think people need to stop behaving like the whole world is knocking and say, show us what you ate today. Show us your bathroom.
like that.
Show us your towels. No,
Yes,
no one said that. You tell us what you want us to. Sizwa ngawe.
Yes,
That's the honest truth. So if you were showing us, and that's why they would then be like a lot of a backlash. If you were showing us your bathroom all the time, and now you're saying, yeah, you guys are pressurizing me to show you your bathroom, but you've been showing us.
Did we ask you?
You know what I'm saying?
And then now we're living in a world of content creation, and you do it so well, right? And with business owners, they say, I'm posting every single day, but somehow it's just not translating into sales. My business is not growing. I'm not getting followers. What do they need to be doing to make sure that whatever that they put on social media can then translate to business results? They can have a return basically on creating content, and that return, I think, for some would look like somebody DMing them to say, I want to buy this, or somebody going onto their website and clicking buy now, or whatever the case may be.
I'll say two things. The first one is the 70-20-10. It's so powerful. I think what a lot of people do when they say, I'm posting, it's like, yeah, but what are you posting? And what is the intention with your post? Do you intend to educate me with this post? Do you intend to, that's why I'm saying what you post has to be informed by your niche, right? First one. Your archetypes that we also spoke about, and what it is that you're trying to achieve. So I'll say it's in September when we're recording this now, and you've got October, November, December. So I'd imagine that as any business person, your posts right now need to be leading to potentially what you could be doing on Black Friday, right? Because you've got strategy. You're not thumb-sucking things as you go. Your content now should be leading into some of the things that you want to sell out by December or by the festive season. So you are leading us into whatever you're going to launch, or it could be in January if you want to do an event in January. Maybe now is the time you need to start creating that demand and that desire. So there is that. So if you do the 70-20-10, there's something that Gary Vee talks a lot about. I think it's really amazing. He also wrote a book about it a few years ago. The jab hook, right?
Yes, I love
Which
that
is
book,
you give, and then ask. And what a lot of people are doing is they're giving too much and not asking. So you're giving us all of this valuable content, and we love you, and it's so awesome. Then what? Do you get what I'm saying? So if you do, again, we've got, I love frameworks. And normally with all of our clients and people in our membership club, we do these frameworks because they help you remember, and it's so much easier for you to know how to play with them. So if you do the 70-20-10, right? Out of the 70-20-10 on a weekly basis, if we were to say, if you've got capacity, you're posting 7 days a week, right? Out of those 7 days a week, if we were to split it out, you would say, okay, cool, I'm going to do 4 posts on my 70, and then I'm going to do 2 on my 20 and 1 on my 10, right? So of those 4, which is the fitness, going back to the example, that's where you want to monetize, that's where you want to sell. So this means that out of that 4, what I would then advise you to do is, out of that 4, the 3 posts are you giving, and the 1 is when you're doing the hook and the asking. So the 3 are like, yo, here's how you work your abs. Number 2, here's how you do your arms. Number 4, here's what you need to do in your morning walk. And then number 3, and then number 4 is what you say, this is the lifestyle that I live, and if you would like to be part of it, buy here. Purchase there, do this here, but there must be a call to action. Otherwise, we are so inspired, but our money's still in our pocket, and you're not doing anything. And what a lot of people get caught up in, especially in the content age creation, is that they get caught up in the creating and releasing the content without leading people to a specific place. It's like, I'm just creating content, people are loving it, but brands are not coming. But why don't you productize? Do an ebook so people can buy. If you're scared about pricing, do an ebook and freaking charge 200 Rand for it. Do you know what I'm saying? But give people some way to interact with you, and some way for them to be able to buy from you, even if it's $50. But try see, how does my market respond to me selling tiny little things as you start and as you grow? But I think there needs to be strategy. Posting is not a strategy. It's not. It needs, otherwise you're just throwing things into the air, and you might get a client or 2, or get viral and then get clients in 1 month, but posting is not a strategy.
And what 3 tools would you want SMEs listening to this now to use for their businesses, like practical tools where they can start and say, okay, Michelle said I must go use this tool, this tool to sort of like systematize how I create content, how I speak about sales, how I sell, to closing the deal.
Yeah, I think the first one is get ChatGPT, the paid version. Absolutely, stop using the free version if you're trying to be serious about yourself. Get the paid version. If you even can get the enterprise, ChatGPT has a business version of it as well. And try using ChatGPT as a consultant to help you almost like work around how you can communicate and package yourself a little bit better. And this is, and I'm talking like SME level, especially if you still feel like I don't have the resources to reach out right now, or I want to, kind of figure this out myself. I think use ChatGPT as a first resource in terms of being able to curate some form of a, do like a 30-day strategy for your business. Forget the 2 years, 4 years, 5 years. Do a 30-day strategy. Say from now, what do I want my end of October to look like? That's the first one, right? So I think for me, most of the tools is like, there needs to be a mindset shift around how much money are you making a month? And do you even know? Do you have a target? Do you have a number? Because then a lot of people don't have that. And then that's a problem. Because even if we were to say, here are the tools, you're just going to go there and everything is going to be airy-fairy because we have no destination to the strategy. So maybe the first thing I'd ask you to do is like set a number.
Yeah.
Are you making a 500,000 Rand a month? Are you making 100,000, 200,000, 10,000? Whatever, set a number by the end of October or the end of the month from the time you're watching this. And then after you've set that number, you then go to ChatGPT and say, hi, ChatGPT, this is my business. This is what I do. This is a number I'm trying to make. These are the products. Please help me put together a strategy that is going to help me reach this number by the end of this month. ChatGPT will give it to you.
Yeah.
But remember, it's just ChatGPT's AI.
It's
now you
meant to enhance. It's not copy and paste.
Now you sit and say, is this viable? What can I do? How do I try this? Right? How do I then start creating content pillars using the 7-20-10 rule? And then the second one would be, I think it would be ChatGPT. I think Canva is also quite a good. CapCut, actually, I think video is king right now.
Yeah.
Do a lot of videos. So if you've got all of those strategies, do a lot of videos, talk on camera. If you're still trying to navigate talking on camera, do vlogging style and voice note in that vlogging style. But find different ways to still do the same thing without making an excuse about what you're comfortable in doing and what you're not, because there's always another way to do it other than the way that you are saying you're uncomfortable about. So ChatGPT, CapCut, Canva, and I think the other one is like just Excel spreadsheet. It's not lost.
Know your numbers.
Know your numbers. Sit down and ask yourself, how much money did you make last month? From where? What is your what product or what thing is bringing in more money in your business right now? Because maybe that's what you need to market a lot more. Maybe in your 70-20, maybe you are focusing on the 10 a lot more than you should be on the 70, so you can rework your strategy. But I think being able to do an analysis around what has worked in the past is really going to help you know what's worked. And then if you've got the money, get in touch with me and we'll be able to help you put together a strategy.
Thank you so much. And lastly, what's your thinking about the entrepreneurship landscape, let's say in South Africa, in Africa, and what do you have to say to all the entrepreneurs out there, considering some of the challenges that they will come across in building this business? So what is just your head around somebody who's saying, I want to start, or I've already started, but I don't feel quite positive?
Sure. I think firstly, just the entrepreneurship landscape in Africa as a whole is growing. It's growing so much. And that's why you see there's a lot of different stakeholders from Europe and et cetera coming to invest into Africa. Africa is projected to be one of the continents that's going to have a lot of young people compared to other continents in the world in the next coming years. So that tells you that there is a lot of there's going to be a lot of growth happening in Africa, especially with the AI adoption, et cetera. So I think that it is growing. And I think to the entrepreneurs that maybe have started or haven't started and they're looking to start, I think the big thing for me is like business is not run by feelings. I think that's the big thing that a lot of people need to understand. I think people take their feelings and their personality and everything about them and they center it to this business. And I don't think it should be like that. I really do think that businesses are run by strategy and doing the work. And I think when you do strategy and you do the work, essentially you also start doing the work within yourself in a way that then helps you get past your feelings, because we don't show up because we want to every single day. We don't show up because like the bank account is killing it some months. It's like, no, because if we did that, you would see all the ebbs and flows all the time. But we show up because we understand the vision. We show up because it actually doesn't matter how we feel, but the vision is more important. So I think that for me, it's like, screw your feelings. forward with the vision and build and go. And I think, even especially in the day and age of social media where our feelings can easily be influenced by what we saw the other person do. It's like, oh, nah, I just saw Giffy launch your podcast. Nah, why getting a podcast? Who's going to come to my podcast? And then that becomes the reason why you don't do, or you spend a few days so discouraged because now you feel like maybe my life is so stagnant or things are not moving for me, and I think it's just, when you're not led by feelings, those things are not things that you even consider or that are important. Is you realize what is the bottom line and what is your vision. And I think when you realize that, you stop comparing yourself and you start seeing other people's successes as, this is amazing and I love what they do, because you understand what your vision is. And you understand that another person's success or moving forward or launching something does not move a needle in my thing, because God has ordained my vision and what I'm called to do, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. And if this person is moving in that direction, praise Jesus.
Yes.
So I think just screw your feelings, man. Yeah. That's like, for me, that would be
love that. Screw your feelings and build. Michelle, thank you so much. Where can people get in touch with you if maybe they want to start working with you to help them put strategies into place, make that money, and just screw their feelings?
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me, Giffy. This is really amazing. And thank you for inviting me. It's such a pleasure and honor. And I love having business conversations.
Yes.
So I'll never say no to like a very important business conversation. So thank you. Where can people find me? I'm Michelle Expert across all platforms. And if they want to be part of the work that I do, I think the first place I send people to is our membership club. It's always a nice space to be surrounded with entrepreneurs that are in a specific community. We host weekly masterclasses there. And there's a lot of networking that happens. We've got global entrepreneurs from across the world that are part of the hub. And we get to share really tools of trade. And we've got an online podcast as well. Most of our online podcast guests come and host masterclasses in our private membership club. So definitely come and join that. The link is on my profile. It's on the Resonate Hub profile as well, to just join our membership club. I think that would be the best way. And then from there, would be able to take it from there and kind of do a needs analysis. If they want to book a consult, those are available as well. But those are the two big main things we're doing right now.
No, thank you so much. And you all heard it from Michelle Expert. And I am Coach Gifilwe. Thank you so much for joining the Business Done Right podcast. If you haven't clicked subscribe, remember to click subscribe. Leave your comment. Let us know which part was your favorite. Like, share with your friends and community, because knowledge is nothing if we keep it to ourselves and we don't share it with other people. We make sure that you do your business right. Until next time, bye-bye.